Good morning. Good morning to you all. Day 25. And I had to move a little, as you can see. So made a great thumbnail for this video, Pascal. Because I was still fuzzling around with the stuff and trying to get comfortable here. So I'll wait a little moment if anyone wants to join. Well, I'm going to get started. As said many times before, I really love to receive questions from you all because it really gives me an opportunity to approach things either from a different angle or just deepening into it, especially if things are linked to each other. And I've talked about them separately so far. Then that really helps to see the connection more clearly. So thanks for this question, which led up to the topic of today. And the question came in with a beautiful timing, as I was just wondering at that moment, just before I watched the Facebook group, like, what comes up for tomorrow? And nothing came up yet. And then I opened Facebook and this question came in. So perfect timing. I will start with perhaps refining the role of a victim. I've mentioned it many times, but I don't know if I really made it very specific and clear how it shows up and how it holds ourselves captured. And yes, it needs liberation and it needs forgiveness to liberate yourself from that victim role. So using the word victim often has a definition with it, like you can only be a victim when something really bad has happened to you, when there is a clear perpetrator for a cause or for experience, and you are the victim of that experience. So often it's seen as something which we can easily play outside of ourselves because, well, nothing bad happened to us, so we're never a victim. But we all behave like victims because it gets in so easily. And the most clear definition of a victim is that you put the cause for what happened to you outside yourself. So you blame either the situation, the circumstance, the persons, the culture you grew up in, your family, anything, your school system, your lack of information, whatever it is, anything you can define which is outside yourself. And you had no responsibility in that moment. You feel you had no responsibility because you can't see your responsibility. So you actually put the full responsibility outside yourself. In that moment, you are the victim. Even if it's as small as That friend didn't call me today. How annoying. And she never calls me. I always am the one who needs to take action. Even in that sentence, you play the victim. You put the blame on the other, and you feel not seen for the other person who's not calling you. Whereas you could say in that little example, like, okay, apparently there is a pattern here in our friendship, and I'm always the one who takes action. Shall I just ask why this is happening? Shall I just open up the conversation because I don't feel comfortable with it? So the victim is not the same thing as not feeling comfortable with the situation or not feeling happy with the situation. But putting or waiting for something else to happen to improve your life, or to or even that someone else doesn't do something to you. So you're completely depending on others and your circumstances. Then you're complete in the role of the victim. And when you're in the role of the victim, when you feel like a victim, at that moment, it's our lowest frequency, almost. I mean, the real, it's one of our lowest frequencies. It comes really, really as one of the low frequencies, because in that moment you can't really see any other perspectives on the situation. You're literally blinded. You're blinded with, like, I'm small here, and they are doing this to me, or it has been done to me, or it has been done to me in the past, and now I cannot move because this has been done to me, and I'm stuck here, and I can't see any way out because it just happened to me, and it always happens to me. And I can't help. I was born in a family with little money, so I had to work hard. But it happened to me. I couldn't help that circumstance. And of course, it's not said that in any situation you could have done something differently. But it is looking back at the situation. So the victim always talks about the past, that what has happened to him or her. So looking back at it, you feel that you had no responsibility in that situation. So it's not about the victim who is, well, partly it is, but not in every situation you can do something and prevent the experience to happen. And especially not, of course, when you're a child. Then it did happen to you. But when you're grown up and it did happen to you in the past, you cannot change the past. You just simply can't. You can only change how you deal with it in your current situation, your current life. How can I move forward to let go of that? That what I experienced in the past that made me feel a victim. And because this is such a low frequency, this victim role, it also creates the other side, the opposite side, the perpetrators who are able to do something what makes you feel a victim. So you also give space to life. If you stay in this victim role and hold on to this, what happened to you, with this low frequency, you give space to life to let it happen to you again. And then you go like, you see, it always happens to me. Life doesn't change. It's still happening to me. But energetically, you're almost well, you're almost sending out signals, and life is showing you back what you send out. So you get that same feedback again. And then it repeats itself again and again and again. And of course, there's always seen from the perspective where you're at. If you look, for instance, at chronic diseases, then it feels like, well, I can't really do anything here. The doctors have said it's chronic, so I can't do anything. And it cannot be cured, so I'm stuck here. I'm a victim here of my body who has a chronic disease. And for many, that's a strong belief that is a truth. And even to that is a different perspective. But even if there wouldn't be a different perspective, how does that holding on to the fact that you feel a victim helps you? So to repeat that situation and confirm that situation and feel sorry for yourself about that situation, how does that help you? It doesn't change your life. And whether it's a chronic disease or whether it's an accident with serious injuries that cannot be healed, like losing legs or big things like that, then still there is a choice to move forward. But these are the big things, and often people go into these big topics like, but you can be a victim. You are a victim. I am a victim of this because it's something I really couldn't do anything about it. And in that situation, it might completely be true. It probably is. But it had happened to you. And if you don't want to have it longer happening to you, but you now stand up and like, I'm done with this victim role. I want to change it. I want to take responsibility for my life, my decisions, how I feel, how I act, how I make choices, whether you can change the circumstances or not. You have to make a choice to make it, to have the willingness to make a change, to get out of this low state, because it's just so not helping you. It's just, we're literally prisoning you in your mind. The story repeats itself in your mind, like, well, I've just already gave the examples. So that's more clarifying what the victim is and how it appears and how it feels. So whenever you think that something comes up that, like, is this the victim role or not, just check. Do I blame something outside of myself? Do I put something outside of myself, like he or she is not doing something, so I feel not seen, or I feel not being hurt by someone, or I don't matter because they never asked me for an opinion, so apparently I don't matter. So hold yourself in that moment and ask, do I have a choice here? Can I take proactive actions and ask for clarification, or show up as myself and be courageous to say something, although I'm normally the quiet person who doesn't say anything, with the chance that they laugh at me, with the chance that they don't agree with me, or whatever it is. So it's extremely, extremely useful to get clarity on where you still feel a victim of circumstances, victim of life, victim of your situation, a victim of, well, whatever it is where you're at now. So in order to liberate yourself and free yourself out of that prison, you do need forgiveness. That's true. Because forgiveness is the only thing that completely um, it can completely end the feelings about the experience in the past. If you cannot forgive yourself or the other or the person or the circumstance, then there's always a feeling still lingering within you that feeds this feeling of being a victim. So that's why forgiveness is absolutely crucial, to let go of anything in the past that ever happened to you, or any choice you did not make, or any situation you end up in, or anything you missed in life you regret, or anything outside yourself, which are circumstances that you couldn't do anything with. But you can forgive the circumstance. You can forgive what that person did to you. You can forgive yourself for not making choices earlier, because at that moment you were not able to. So you have to forgive yourself for, now you can see like it's a wrong choice, but at that time it felt like a good choice. Even if you didn't make a choice, it felt like a good one to do. So can you forgive yourself for times where you were not able to see another perspective to the situation? Can you forgive yourself for the time that you were not aware of yourself and that you were just blindly following, unconsciously, you were just living life and you were not aware of what was happening? Or you wasted years. Can you forgive yourself? But also, can you forgive yourself for always needing to be the strong one? Because also the persons who are always the strong ones still can feel a victim in that role. Okay, no one is ever doing something. Okay, I'll do it. I always am the one who has to take care of this. That's also a victim role. It's not coming out of strength or pure love. It's just coming out, okay, nothing is happening, so I will do it. So forgiveness is needed to be completely on every level with what happened. Can you let go of your belief systems there? Because that's a strong one what holds you back in your victim role. Your values, the injustices that have been done to you. Can you forgive the injustice that has been done to you? And it needs courage to yourself. And that's why vulnerability comes pretty close and is needed. That's why I like the triangle of this session, because vulnerability here is needed to be first and foremost really honest with yourself. So it's like this feeling of being very vulnerable. Like, okay, I have to be honest here. And that makes you very vulnerable to yourself first. Like I feel really, really sorry for myself, but from a vulnerability, it comes from a different energy. Because when you come from vulnerability, beneath vulnerability, there's a strength, a solidness. Because from what comes with vulnerability is that you're completely okay with the outcome. You have no expectation of the outcome. So if you completely open up to yourself and are vulnerable in admitting what has happened to you and the role you played there and how long you've kept the story alive for yourself and how long you kept yourself present in that story. If you come from a vulnerable space, like, okay, I know that I can see now what has happened. I'm not proud of myself, or I feel really sorry for myself that it had happened to me. At least that's how it felt, the experience, or the string of events. But now I'm so ready to move on and to completely open up to life and trust it without being sure in that moment how it will look like. But I trust it will be better. I trust it will change, because if I trust myself, if I believe in myself, then life will change. Sorry. And life will show me what feels in resonance with me. Vulnerability comes from complete love for yourself. If there's no complete love, no complete sense of worthiness to yourself, you cannot be vulnerable. You can have glimpses of vulnerability in moments, but not the full vulnerability. And even the glimpses and moments are the first steps that are needed for this process of forgiveness and getting out of the victim mode. So in that state, when it feels like you feel very fragile, that's what comes with vulnerability as well. You feel very fragile and like, okay, it's almost like standing on the edge of a mountain and you have to jump down and you don't know if life will catch you. But you trust it will. So back to forgiveness. If I believe that forgiveness is difficult for most people because belief systems hold you back, and especially the values you have. This neediness for being right and being seen for something is what holds you back from being able to forgive. And to explore what really is the case for each and any one of you. It will literally tell you what comes up if you say, okay, I'm going to forgive this situation. I can see a different perspective to the situation, and I'm okay with it now, and I forgive what has happened to me. and I forgive you or the circumstance from what has been done or what you did. And then when there's a voice coming up like, yes, but I still feel there's injustice, or yes, but I still feel the person has to do something, or yes, but this cannot be forgiven. This is just so extreme what happened. I cannot forgive that person. If I would forgive that person, then I have to let go of everything I believe in. I might even feel vulnerable to the world, like if I can forgive that person, then people might think I'm mad. Because people would say to you, of course you cannot forgive that person. He did this to you. How can you forgive him or her? You have every right to be angry, or you have every right to feel victim. Because the other person is responsible for it. So if that feeling still like, yeah, but that person is responsible for it, if it comes up so strongly, then you're not really forgiving that person. What would happen if I would say that you forgive Hitler? What does that to you when I say that? How can you forgive a person like Hitler with all the things he'd done? But Hitler wouldn't have been there if he wasn't supported by many people. I mean, Hitler would be there, but not in his role he played in history. He was given a chance by many followers to do what he wanted to do. And of course, I completely disagree with his values and completely disagree with his actions. That's something different than I can see that any dictator can only be a dictator because he has followers who support that. Or followers who don't do nothing, who don't do anything. So it's hard really to isolate one single person, one single event, because there's always a string of events and relations and circumstances attached to the same situation. So even Hitler is a result of his circumstances, whatever it was. And of course his ideas were crazy. His belief systems were crazy, but it was confirmed by others all the time. He couldn't have done this all on his own. Nothing would have happened. He would just have been a crazy man. One single crazy man. But then can you forgive him? That's a hard one, isn't it? And then you might think, well, it's not really needed because it's in the past and it hasn't happened to me. It might have happened to my family, but that's done. And that's how life is. And that's how humanity is. And we can't forgive all. And we don't have to, but we all carry these different frequencies within us, these different energies within us. We all carry energies for power. We carry energies for needing this to be right. We carry energies for fears of showing up and letting our voice being heard or going against the stream. So we let things happen. Or we just turn away. We ignore it. So we all carry these energies with us. I'm not saying we're all Hitlers here, but I'm saying aspects of what led him to this extreme role he played. Aspects of that we carry with us. Like the victim who becomes perpetrator. The abused one who becomes abuser. And I know this sounds very strong and perhaps even far-fetched, and perhaps there's a love going on within you, like, really? She's really losing it. This can't be true. But just sense what happens to you when I tell this. And distinguish the fact that you can forgive something or a circumstance to that you have to agree with what has happened. You don't have to approve of what has happened. It's something different. You don't have to say, well, it's all fine. Anything that has happened ever to me is all fine, and I shouldn't feel bad about it. No, that's not what this is about when we talk about forgiveness. Forgiveness is about seeing all perspective to the situation and are completely okay with it. Can really lovingly say that you are forgiving yourself or the circumstance or the person. It's okay. I can see you. I can see why you did this to me, and it's okay. I forgive you for that. You probably had a cry for help. You weren't hurt by your circumstances. So I can forgive you. And forgiveness to yourself looks more easy, but it's even more difficult. Because that needs this complete honesty. That needs this vulnerability to yourself. And it will hurt. It will really hurt to let go of things. Because it will hurt because for the first time, you might even open up to the pain at such a deep level. You might have worked with it for many years on certain topics by yourself or with a therapist or whatever. And it's still there. What is still not seen? What is still not felt by yourself? Or is it just stubbornness that holds you there? With a strong value for justice, or justice, there is justice, I really have a hard time forgiving. Because many things cannot be justified. And in many situations, there's injustice being done. So when that's a strong value for you, justice, then it's a difficult one to forgive or to go into forgiveness. So look at the value of justice. We all need values to feel secure and safe. That's what a value often is used for. But why do you need that safety? What happens if you let go of that value? What happens then? I'm not saying you can't have values like justice, but they're so often coming from covering up fear, defending fear that's underneath it. They're used as a defense mechanism. They're not coming from empowerment. They're not coming from solidness and trust. They're coming from fear. So look where your values come from: fear. From feeling unsafe. If I let go of that, I feel unsafe. And that's scary, to feel unsafe. Then you feel fragile, vulnerable. But then vulnerable in a sense like anything can be done to you. That's not the same as acting from vulnerability. That's something different. That comes from a solidness and an empowerment and a trust. That comes from a pure alignment with yourself, like, okay, I'm so worth this life. But letting go of values that have saved you for so long and kept you safe for so long is extremely difficult. So getting out of the victim role needs seeing all your fears, your insecurities, your feelings of unsafety. Unsafety with certain circumstances, unsafetyness with well, anything that feels uncomfortable. It doesn't have to be big. You can have strong values for just not showing up as yourself, not being authentic. So the value that holds you back, prevents you from showing up authentically. or a belief system. Often a value is a result of a belief system you have. So if forgiveness doesn't click yet, or doesn't resonate, or there's a lot of resistance coming up, or contraction, then what is it that you're afraid of? What is it that you're afraid of that you have to let go? Are you afraid of hurting someone else if you're letting go of certain things? Are you afraid of being honest with yourself that things happen the way they happened? What comes up when forgiveness doesn't resonate? And I've noticed that it's for many people it doesn't resonate. Forgiveness is like something you do in church or something. It's like this ritual which comes from, especially in the Catholic Church, where you ask for forgiveness by doing your prayers and your, what's it called? Your confession. And then you ask for forgiveness. You don't need anyone to forgive you. You just need to forgive. You just need you to forgive you. Even if another person is forgiving you for what has been done, then you can still be stuck in the same situation if you don't forgive yourself for the role you played, even if you were an innocent victim. I'm gonna sit here for another quarter or an hour or something, another 15 minutes in silence. So you can stay or see you tomorrow. Sorry. I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Bye.